just talk about what it's been like getting things going, getting your players? It's been a long couple of months that they've kind of been anticipating, I'm sure, getting on the ice with you. What's that been like from your perspective?
Well, exciting. Trying to get a base, communication, how to best handle them, how to best send a message, and then get some feedback from them on, are the messages that we're sending landing in the proper manner, and then just setting expectations and working at it together. With the restraints the NCAA puts on you as far as time on ice, you've got to make, you got to make hay while you can on the rink. And then just, talking to the guys and communicating about what we're going to do every day before we get out there so that we can go out and get done as much as we can get done in those short time frames.
Coach, Mark Stewart, Kohl Center. Along those lines, I kind of asked you this when you got hired, but when the team's on the ice, where do you start? I mean, what was kind of the initial focal point when you said, hey, this has got to be kind of the foundation of what we do?
Well, I found as a player a long time ago, I was more comfortable when I had time and space. And so part of what we're trying to do is make sure we're taking away as much time and space when we don't have it, and then trying to push the pace when we do have it in a way that we're connected, whether that's from our end to the neutral zone to the offensive zone. So really just getting habits down and working on our dailies so that our day can turn into a week into a month. And so really just putting the expectations out there, trying to show what we're looking for, and then also take advantage of what these guys have done before we've gotten here. The cupboards aren't bare here. There's good hockey players in this program. And so we're excited about trying to connect what our expectations, what their expectations are, so that we can move and progress our team on a daily basis.
Are you encouraged by what you've seen, would you say?
Today, yes. A couple of days we've taken a step back, and it's not always, I don't want to look at that's their fault. I've had some off days myself. Haven't put together the best practice plan. That at the end of the day we looked at it, and did we get to where we wanted to get to? Probably not, but that wasn't all on the players. That was on the coach. So we're working together. But yeah, I like what I see so far. I see a group of young men that want to get better. They're willing to do the work. We're just trying to break down some barriers on how hard you have to work to be successful every day, and trying to develop those habits so that, like I said, we can build a day into a week and so on.
I know it's early, but it might change. But as far as strengths, what do you see as the strength of this group at this point in this juncture of the year?
If I was to give an autopsy, and this was the end of the year, okay, so I'll start there. I like our forward group. We've got a lot of guys that have come back. I think Tony and the previous staff, along with our staff getting involved, we've got guys up front that I'm really excited about. I think Matt D. St. Phal has done a great job at establishing what it is to go to work every day. You look at a young guy like William Whitelaw, who's come in and I think made an immediate impact, not just because of his abilities to shoot a puck and how much he likes to score, but really his excitement for the game. We've got to drag him off the ice at times and just say, you know what, we'll have another opportunity tomorrow. So I'm hoping we're going to be good down the middle. We're working on what our line combinations are going to be. But if I was going to go back to what I mentioned earlier, is up front is hopefully going to be a strength. We're in process with our defensive core. And then I'm really hoping one of our goaltenders decides to get a little greedy and takes the net and keeps it. So that competition has been very healthy up until this point. So strengths up front, work in progress, our blue line, and then collectively between the three, we need somebody to step up between the posts.
What are the markers you're looking for in terms of a goal to step in? Obviously it's just stopping the puck, but you've got to look at what's going into that even before you get to play a game. It's different out here on practice than it is in a game. So how do you assess that?
I don't think we'll find out until the real bullets start flying, when it starts counting, when it goes behind you, how do you react to maybe a bad one? You know, and what we're looking for right now, again, is those accountability pieces, preparation. I look right now, we just had a small little get together with our 3 goaltenders the other day on when our guys are staying out there. I just remember back in the day, I had a lot more fun on the rink when there was a guy between the posts as opposed to shooting it into an empty net. So just establishing our work ethic with our goaltenders, that when our players are out there working on things, we can definitely get better between the posts by going out and working that and being there consistently. Grammer's done a great job at setting that bar. He's come in, and I don't know if it's because he's new or he's hungry. Whatever it is, I really like what I'm seeing out of him as far as a work ethic on a day-to-day.
Mike, Zach Hanley from Channel 3. Your first win here will be the 300th of your career. Reaching that milestone, does that mean anything or to you, or you just excited to get win number 1 at Wisconsin under your belt?
I'll go with the latter. You know, I just think career numbers or, you know, different stages, you can look back on those when seasons are done. Doesn't mean that I'm not appreciative of the number and the work that was put in by the players and the staffs that I've had an opportunity to work with. But that's for a much later time. We're really focused on, you know, coach has got to emulate what he's trying to tell his players, and that's just worrying about what we're going to do. You know, we're done today, what we're going to do tomorrow, and I need to focus on that, and we'll focus on that. Those other things will come at a later date.
Mike, going off of that, well, I'm Carly Miranda with WKOW here in Madison. What are your emotions? Can you describe your emotions as you head into your first game as the head coach here at Wisconsin?
Depending on the day so far, stressful, excited, looking forward. Again, and I'm going to dovetail a little bit on my answer to the previous question. We only get to control what's happening right now. Now, as a coaching staff, we're definitely in motion on what is going on now, what is going to be going on in the future as far as our recruiting. That's the staff's consideration, and so we're worried about today and tomorrow. But really, from my perspective, it's just us. Every day that goes away, we're a little bit closer. And I can see and listen and hear the guys talking about that day getting here, and we as a staff are just trying to get to them to worry about Wednesday, because that's the management piece that we want them to focus on. But it's an exciting time here, and I don't care if you're in the hockey program, the volleyball program, basketball starting up, what Luke's doing with the football program. There's a tremendous amount of energy on this campus and in this community about what it is to be a part of Badgerland. And now that piece, whether I'm talking to my wife, my son who's out in Boston, friends, family, that's exciting. And then when you get to the rink every day, you just kind of knock it down hour by hour as you can, but make sure you appreciate that opportunity.
How the players, I guess, reacted to the new direction of things and what new things that you're asking them to do? I mean, sometimes you can tell out on the ice, my guy's body language, how whether he's feeling like, yeah, we can go with this, or I'm a little down, I need a pick-me-up. And I wonder how you've seen them respond to the things you're having to do.
It's a good question, because when you're sitting in the seat on this side, when coaches are on this side, a lot of times we have to read body language, especially when you're in initial relationship building part that we are right now. Maybe the guys aren't comfortable enough to knock on the door and say, hey, what were you talking about? And so from my standpoint, they've been excited. They've been wanting, willing to go through it. Now, at different times in the practice, at different times during the week, what I'll call it, have they spit the bit a little bit and said, I'm done and we're not done yet? Yeah, we've had a few of those things, but again, I think a lot of times it's how we deliver that message. It's got to be the we piece, not me and them, our staff and them. It's got to be all of us together. And the leadership group, the guys that were here previously and the guys that have come in, I think have done a really good job at just focusing on what they get to handle. And they've been handling it real well up until this point.
I guess, was that a team vote? Was that a you vote? How did that come about, and why is he the guy that's going to lead that group?
Yeah, I'll be transparent with that. Everybody gets a vote. You know, Pointer gets a vote. Our staff gets a vote. Luke Regner, our hockey ops, we're all in this together, so everybody gets a voice. The ones that speak loudest are the players. And I can say for one of the few times that I've been a part of a team, it was pretty cut and dry. I shared that with the guys that had the opportunity to wear the badge and have that honor. The guys spoke loud with their pens, you know, on who they want to follow. Now that's a heavy responsibility, but I think we're in good hands. We'll see when things start maybe coming off the tracks a little bit. That's when we're going to be judged most. But I like the group. I think they're willing. I also like they're selfless, and I think they care about their teammates. I've seen that by actions, not so much their words. They're, you know, Maddie D. St. Fel is probably the chatterbox between the three. The other two a little bit on the, I'm trying to switch the mute off and have them communicate a little more. But they're going to find their own path on how they're going to lead. But I like the hands that we're in right now.
During these few months that you've been here, what have been maybe some of the surprises? Obviously, you know, you knew Wisconsin from the outside looking in, now you're on the inside. What's maybe been the surprise on the pleasant end or otherwise that, you know, really grabbed you?
The positive has been the support, whether it's academically. You know, these young people are going through a lot of things. We're still not that far away from the pandemic, right? And so they've got a lot of challenges. One, a new coach. Two, if you're a freshman or a transfer, it's a new environment. You're living with new people. You're day to day. You're going to a new university. The one thing that is across the board here is expectation of excellence. Whether you're out in the public, you're in the classroom, you're at the rink. You know, we cross paths with a lot of other athletes in this building. I just think, you know, being aware of what we're doing and then making sure that we're in support, and they have different avenues. That has been comforting as a coach that's going into a new situation, that whether it's academically, socially, mentally, our strength coach, nutrition with Grace, my staff, I've got one extra coach this year. We're all kind of settling in, but I think one of the biggest pieces has been the amount of support that we have to allow these athletes to go in different ways of their need, support them, and hopefully prepare them better for tomorrow.
Coach, Mike Johnson, NBC 15. Have you had, I always get giddy whenever I see Mark Johnson. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody in this room, but to see Mark Johnson, have you had a chance to pick his brain a little bit, knowing what he's been through and knowing he's an alumni and such?
Not enough. I will say this. I've been able to watch him from afar. A good friend of mine, John Harrington's the women's coach back at MSU. John and his unbelievable counterpart, Mary, his wife, were attendants at Jean-Ann and my wedding. And so we officed out of the same area. It's a little different here with us being where our offices are and where Mark's are. We haven't had a lot of that cross. I need to do a better job of getting over and stealing some things of what they do on a consistent basis, because obviously they've got it figured out. And so I'm hoping, and again, it's more on me than it is on Mark. I've got to do a better job at making sure that I'm crossing paths with him a little bit more. Not just from the hockey side, but what you said, the history side. You can't walk around this campus without seeing a little bit of the impact of what the Johnson family has had on Badger hockey. So I'm excited about those opportunities, hopefully coming sooner than later.
Take you back 11 years when you started at MSU, 11 years. Does this feel similar? The setup, I mean, a team that is, you know, has some pieces that maybe needs a new voice, and I wonder if you see any parallels to John.
I hope so. And again, because of the experience that it taught me is, when I came in, both assistant coaches I'd never worked with. Knew of, but hadn't worked with them. Hockey ops, that was just a position that was beginning to be a piece of the puzzle as far as your support. We practice away from campus, if you know what the setup was back then. So we were a little bit removed. Here, I do feel we're being dropped in the middle of everything. You know, basketball, the renovations that are going on here at Kohl, getting my first football game over at Camp Randall, going to a volleyball match in Milwaukee and seeing the outreach of what it is to be a Badger, not just here in Madison, but within the state. I'm hoping we have some guys step up with the opportunity to maybe rebrand themselves as players. If they weren't happy with where they were with the previous group, gives them a clean slate. But I'm hoping we can lean on some of those guys that have been here and been in some of the buildings that we're going to go to and understand what it is to play in the Big Ten. We're going to have to lean on them a little bit here early. So I hope there's some similarities there from what happened before, because we had good hockey players at MSU when I came in. And I think we've got really good hockey players here at Wisconsin coming in now.
How do you feel like you're maybe a different coach or maybe better experience of having gone through that once to say, look, maybe I could have done this better then. I have a chance to do that differently now.
Absolutely. Learning more about the individuals and connecting as quick as I can. I did not do a very good job at building those relationships early. It was almost like, hey, you know what, you're going to either come or you're not going to come to the trough and figure out this is what we're doing. I don't think that is what it is today in coaching. And so trying to invest a little bit more in that. My assistants have been on the road a little bit more than I have, and that's by design. I think it's really important for me to be able to spend as much time with this group as I can to get to know them.
Along those lines, I mean, is it just in terms of spending time with the players here, is it, can you speak more on that? I assume you met with guys one-on-one, or is it just a matter of just kind of when they're hanging out in the locker room, kind of passing through and chit-chatting? How do you execute building those relationships?
All of it. You're right on the head of the nail. Each and every one. Like, we've got training table. It's down the hall. Some of them are sitting at a table. I'm sitting at a table. We come back into the locker room. Maybe it's sitting in the locker room and just getting what we, as a staff, consider our bumps every day. Learning a little bit about what's going on in their daily. It doesn't have to be about hockey. It shouldn't be about hockey all the time. How's family doing? What's going on with school? How's the adjustment? Those types of things. So different settings. Had an opportunity to go for a bite to eat with the three guys that were given the opportunity to be captains. You know, different setting. I think being able to build that connectivity, it can't just be coach and players. Sometimes it's got to be in a little bit different setting so that they understand we care as much about them as players as we do as people as we do as hockey players.
And also, I was curious, what does the successful season look like in your opinion this year for this group?
Like to get that first one under our belt. That'll be successful. You know, again, I think if we're going to have any validity to asking our players to buy in, we have to go about this. The end result is going to be what our journey is, right? Our wins and losses. I don't want to look at this as we have to get to so-and-so record-wise. Never been that way. I don't want to change that because we're trying to, we're going to learn from all the experiences. If we win our first one, the reset has to happen immediately. If we don't win our first one, the reset has to happen immediately. It's no different than what we're going through. If we have a bad Monday, we don't belabor the point that Monday wasn't good. We talk about it, we address it, we turn the page, we go right to Tuesday. So this season's going to lay out the way it does. We're going to try and control what we get to control and build our dailies into our weeks. And hopefully at the end of that, we're playing our best hockey, because then we'll be a difficult out. Then whoever we run into in the playoffs hopefully looks at it and says, we're going to have to do something special to beat them. And the only way we get there, I think, is if we really focus on the now. And the end result, again, is something that we had talked about later. It'll end up being what it is. We can reflect on it at that time.
Given all that, though, you play home the first weekend, but then you go road on through pretty challenging, four pretty challenging environments. Road trips can bring a team together, and I wonder if that might be a silver line of the way that schedule lays out. Have you thought about that as this is a tough road, but it could mean some big things for us.
I hope at the end of that, when you and I are sitting in here, and hopefully everybody else is here then, we're talking about it being a great experience. I do agree with you. When I was a junior coach in Omaha for a while, just because of what would happen in that facility, we'd go on the road every year for our first 6 to 8 or 10 games. I loved it. We also played 48 to 60 games. We don't have that many opportunities. So for us, again, trying to shorten things, I agree. Our job as a staff is to look, you're going to Bemidji, to North Dakota, to Tech, to Minnesota. Go ahead and look at the top 20, okay? And for those that don't have to go all the way back, we saw what Bemidji can do, okay? They're very well coached. They understand what it is to be successful. It's gonna be a hill to climb, but right now we're just trying to get through the rest of this week and hopefully be as prepared as we can when Augustana comes into our building.